just getting back from having some food. Give me just a minute here. I'll be right back. Inside. Something I realized I forgot to do is update today's page. I'll go ahead and change that later on. But for right now, get my tools ready. I'll be using ribs, using that metal rib, using a wooden rib, actually not that one, this wooden rib here, circular wooden rib. I've got some measuring tape that's cut into a foot-long section I'll be using to measure the width of the piece. And let's see, not putting dimples on it. I got the bat swimmer's towel that I'll use for treating the rim, and honestly with these pieces, that'll be about it. I'm not going to be adding a whole lot. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I'll be using for these pieces. So I'll have to get my clay ready. I got to get it all wedged up. So give me just a minute. Get it wedged, and then work on getting 3 pieces made. So should be able to get done in about an hour. So this isn't going to be all that long, because I can get these bowls done in about 20 minutes a piece. I'm actually going to throw some music into my headphones. Go with that. And I will be watching the chat on Twitch. I did mention earlier tonight I probably won't stream tomorrow. That's still true. I probably won't stream tomorrow, but I might, just for a little bit. in that box. Got clay here in a bag next to the wheel. A couple of pieces that I'd already worked on making work from. So just got some chipboard over here on the floor that I'll use for wedging. This stuff's softer since I did spend some time working with this clay on the wheel once already. It's a little bit more hydrated. Make it a little easier to wedge, and it'll make it a little easier to throw. Looks like, let's see, made 8 pieces. This is about probably 3 pounds left over. So probably at about 2.5 pounds of clay per bowl. Maybe? I don't know, that seems kind of high. What I know I can fit in my hands is about 1.75 pounds for that volume. So really just going to use the clay that I've got here right now to make my final 3 pieces out of this clay. Got this wedged up. So smack it around a little bit. This is just to try and get this clay centered up. I don't know, that was kind of peeking for everybody. I'm sorry about that. So hopefully we'll be able to get 3 pieces just out of this remaining clay here. Just working on doing some wheel wedging here. So I'll bring the clay up and take it back down again a couple of times. And in order to really center this clay, I'm leaning into my thigh and using that as kind of a fulcrum point to lean forward and just really push the clay exactly where I want to go. So now that I've got left hand over the top, I'm leaning into right arm to push on the side. And that really helps to center the clay. So lean in, left hand on the side, right hand on the top. Really leaning into my elbow of my left arm on my thigh. And then you can really use fingers of right hand to claw the clay into place. And then come off gently and slowly. That'll help the clay to really stay centered. You come off too quickly, it'll throw it off center. I've seen a lot of students struggle with that. They think they gotta move fast. Once they get it on center, they just pull their hands away. So you can see how that's just wobbling around. If you really want the clay to stay centered, you have to slowly pull your hands away, because in order to get the clay centered, you're actively taking that shape and distorting it off center. So you want to make sure that you move slowly to get it centered, and then slowly when you remove your hands. Okay, so that's the bite of clay that I'll take for now for a bowl starting. And that's should be about 1.5 pounds. Shouldn't be any more than that. So use my thumbs to go down in to open the piece. Get a nice divot down in there. Again, this is just being firm with your movements. You can use middle fingers to come out and open the piece, but you gotta be gentle. And you gotta be firm. If you throw it off center, come back in, put that clay where you intended it to be. Or I can come here and use my thumbs and actually open it out with my thumbs. But I do need to make sure that I actually come back in, compress it back down. Compress that clay back together so that way as it dries, it's going to shrink towards the center rather than pulling it out. It's going to want to shrink out in the direction that you pulled. So just remember, clay's got memory. It's going to want to go where you put it. It's going to want to move in the direction you moved it. So now just right hand on the outside, using a knuckle, and pull it up into roughly a cylinder shape. So really just making my hand this shape on the outside, using middle and ring finger on the inside to pull, and then my hands are over one another like this. So I'm not pinching it together like this. I'm actually putting the fingers over one hand. See, I'm actually looking over at the camera to make sure everything's in frame. And I don't use a whole lot of water, so I like to keep my my pieces dry. So as I pull it up, I will come back in with my left hand and recompress the clay, moving my fingers, just gently pushing down on the clay, moving it towards the center of the piece. So I'm going to slow down. And make my pull. And I'm not pulling through the rim. You know, I'm not bringing my fingers up like this. I'm just coming up to the edge of the rim, stopping before my fingers go past it. I can dig down in with my knuckle on my right hand just a little bit to pull that clay up a little more effectively. I stop just before the edge of the rim, and I can come back in, recompress just by taking the wall of the piece and going between my index finger and middle finger, squeezing my fingers together just a little bit, and also pushing down, which might seem like little counterintuitive when I'm trying to pull the clay out and then I press it all back in, but it really does help to keep it even if there's any unevenness. I'll pull up, stop before I pull through the rim, apply some of the slurry that's on my hands onto the piece. I really don't want to just use more water, pull more clay off, and soften this clay up even more. I want to keep it really as dry as I can, so that way I can have more control over this clay and not have to recompress the material as much. So a lot of people will say you have to come back in with ribs, and you really have to recompress the clay with ribs. You don't really have to if you keep the clay dry. So I will take this rib, I'll go on the inside, and I will start to actually recompress the bottom. I like the nice smooth surface that this gives me. So I can apply some of this slurry to the outside of the piece. And then use that rib to help make a pole. I'll slow down a little bit as I start to get this piece opened up a little wider, so that way it's a little more easy to control. I'll come back, recompress down towards the bottom, so that way I can ensure this clay is not going to create an S crack down in the bottom of this piece. Okay, I'll come up just a little bit higher. And just doing my best to get a nice even contour on the inside of the pot. That wasn't the right move. Didn't stabilize with my hand on the outside. Okay, so now I've got this shape pretty much how I want it. Spending too much time, to be entirely honest, getting that shape. Then I can come back with this metal rib and work on smoothing out the outside of the piece, reinforcing the shape. Go up and then come back down. Okay. So now that I've got that, I can take my measuring tape, measure it. It's actually a little bit wider than what I want. I'll wet my rib just a little bit. And I'm actually going to bring it up, decrease the diameter just slightly. And one thing that you can do, if your piece gets too wide, go ahead and demonstrate this, is you can spin slowly, and you can take a needle tool, or if the edge of the top of your piece is a little ratty, finger on the inside, and bring the needle tool into the clay to meet your finger. You can peel that clay away. It will, as you can see, distort the edge of the rim just a little bit if your piece is a little wide. But you can come back in with a chamois or some other tool, even the rim back out. Come back with this rib. And if you really wanted to, you could use that claw method I was using earlier. Come over it, squeeze it down, and pull it all back in. I'm not going to do that right now. I think I'll just focus on using my chamois. And pull that shape in slightly. Come back with my rib. Adjust that shape. Check it again. It's still going to be wide. It's going to be over 8 inches. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. But that's basically the shape I want. I can come back in with this rib. Get these textures in this piece here. One thing that I did notice when I was doing that yesterday, if I can come back in here with the metal rib over the side, and I can make those ridges a little bit more prominent. So I've washed them out just a little bit, but I think it's alright. So I'm just going to recompress this down. You want to make sure that if you're throwing off the hump like I am, you really constrict the material at the bottom of the piece to compress it together, so that way you don't end up with any S-cracks in the foot. So just get in here, my fingers. Okay, create that little groove around the foot of the piece. This is going to give me a location where I'm actually going to cut it away. So I have to find my string cutoff tool. This is for making pieces throwing off the hump. Where did that go? That end up in the bottom here. Here it is. Take the string cutoff tool, get it wet here. Take about 8 or 9 inches, just let it wrap around the piece. And you can just pull it away. And now you've got a nice, that's an okay piece. I'll end up probably making a fourth one. Not actually very happy with how that turned out. So get rid of this material inside my bucket, water bucket here. Get rid of some of this here. Clean off some of the dry clay from my hands. Okay. Work on centering this, left hand on the side. Lean into your elbow or forearm. Push in. Right hand over the top. Bring your hands together. And work on just squeezing gently your hands together. Pushing towards this center of the wheel head with your left hand and just straight down with your right hand. So, thumbs pressed down into center, thumbs are together, firmly pushing down. I'm not letting the clay move me. Then I open up my hands, or open up the piece by pulling my thumbs apart. I'm going to push the clay back towards the center, trying to match that nice even shape that I started. I'm trying to get a good gradual shape on the inside of this piece. Gradual curvature. I don't want any abrupt angles. That bowl that I just finished had some bad angles I didn't really care for on the inside of the piece, so that's probably why I'll end up making another one. Gonna go for the pole. Nice big pole. Knuckle doing the majority of the work. My hand's moving around just a little bit on the outside, that's okay. Coming up vertical even though I am making a bowl. I want to make sure that I make vertical poles so that way when I'm making the piece, it doesn't actually open up wider than what I want. I actually open it up to the width that I want near the end of making the shape. another pull, come up to the rim, recompressing this rim. And then I'm going to start to open this just a little bit. Slow down the wheel speed slightly. Okay, now I've got that V shape started. You can use fingertips as well to make pulls. Okay, so use this round rib here. Hello. Did you have fun? Good.
Nice. Are you having fun?
What's that?
So are you having fun?
Yeah. Streaming right now.
No,
Just trying to finish these few bowls, then I'm gonna be done. So.
no lampshades this time?
No lampshades? Nope, no lampshades this time. Using this wooden rib, make pulls. Again, not coming through past the rim. Just coming right to the rim edge and then stopping just before. Everybody's disappear. I've got some gorillas playing in my ears right now. I recommend listening to some of your favorite music while you're making work. Can definitely help pass time, but it can also help you to judge how much time you've got. Alright. Come back in with the metal rib on the outside. This is about 7.5. Yep, almost exactly 7.5. Okay, so I'm okay with 7.5. So now what I'm going to do is take my rib and put in this texture. So got some texture in there. So I can come back, distorted the shape just a little bit. So I can come back with this wooden rib and go on the inside and even out some of that unevenness that I put into the piece, distorting the outside for the sake of texture. Just recompressing the bottom as one of the most important things to do. Just make sure you recompress the bottom of your piece. So now that's done, you can try and make these ridges a little bit more prominent like I did before. And that looks pretty good. Check the width, 7.5 again. And real quick, I'm actually going to clean my hands up a little bit. They get pretty dry, because I like to throw dry. Get some of that crusty material off of my hands. Alright, I can take my synthetic chamois, come over the rib on the piece, rim, finger on the inside, finger on the outside. Okay. Alright, just about 8 inches. Maybe I'll bring that back in just a little bit. Widen it up just a little bit more than I really do like. Okay. Looks a little more narrow. Yeah, just under 8 inches there. Can straighten this section out just a little bit. Alright. So again, come back in, compress this section of the piece, squeezing it all together. Okay. It's going to help compress that foot so that way it doesn't start to S-crack as it dries out. Get this groove in the piece. Cut off string. A little bit extra string on there that I didn't need. Okay. One of those bowls, I might just go ahead and trim the inside rather than spending the time to throw another one. So it's got a little hump in there that I don't like, that came from me reshaping the exterior contours, which I should have just left. We move one of these pieces that I trimmed recently to a new location. Okay, last piece for the night, then I'll be wrapping up the stream, and it'll be just over an hour, which is not bad. So this piece won't be off the hump. Left hand down against the wheel head. Right hand squeezing in to help reinforce that shape. Pushing in, right hand over the top, helping to guide. Okay, so that's centered. And go ahead, open this piece up using thumbs. Open this piece up, recompress, recompress, recompress. Just make sure it's not going to S-crack. Alright, really get up underneath here. My right hand on the outside, giving a nice pull up. Slow it down just a little bit. Use my right hand to do some recompressing on the bottom of this piece and make my next pull. Stopping at the rim, not pulling through the rim or past the rim. Recompressing with my fingers, between my fingers. That helps to keep the rim from getting uneven or starting to tear. So now I can start opening out, just slowly. Alright, gonna get this slip off my hands. That's not necessary to have anymore. As I work on using this wooden rib to make my poles. So using this rib, recompressing the bottom, just like I did before with my fingers. Get that clay off of there. I was starting above where I started to recompress, pulling this clay out, guiding with the right hand on the outside to help reinforce, and just slowly pull away. 7 1/4. Yep, 7 1/4. That was a guess. The first number was a guess. I repeated it. That is actually what it was. When you start making these pieces pretty consistently, you get good at estimating distances. Going for the same 7.5 to 8 inch diameter on these works. You'll get there. So light recompress one more time. And then metal rib, where did that go? Underneath the splash pan. Tools do like to end up down underneath splash pans quite often. Okay, move some of that material from that. Get this texture in here. That's pretty heavy emphasis on that texture because the rib really wasn't clearing the wheel head, which is one of the reasons why I like throwing off the hump, is I can add that texture on there. So come back in. One more time. Recompressing the bottom of the piece. And then I'll take my synthetic chamois. Get this rim. Okay. Take this one last time. A little bit of a weird angle here. And there we go. That looks better. So now I'm just going to undercut with my thumb to remove material that I don't need. Okay, so that's good. All I'll need now, after I check it one more time, 7 3/4. Come with a wire cutoff tool, which is stuck underneath quite a few other tools. There we go. Slide underneath this piece. Okay, clean up my hands. So I can get out, what is that? Out of 25 pounds, I can get 14 pieces. So yeah, it's just over 1.5 pounds per piece. All right. Set this to the side. Typically don't like grabbing the body of the piece because that will distort it. Try and grab the foot, but it'll be good. I think I'll stop there for tonight, and then that leaves tomorrow. I gotta get 10 more bowls done, thrown, and then get those trimmed on Monday. I'll have to do a long soak to dry out this work so that way it doesn't explode in the firing, because I gotta get it done by gotta have it out of the kiln by Thursday morning, so that way I can get to my destination and start glazing these pieces after they're bisque fired. So I'm on a pretty tight schedule here with getting this work completed. So I'll probably stream earlier in the day, so that way more people can watch without it being so late. So hope everybody had a good time watching tonight, and please come back and check out my streams again. And I'll go ahead and do all the stuff that I said I was gonna do, which was don't like, don't subscribe, don't comment. All right. It's a joke for me. Plus, I just kind of want to see how things work. Don't like, don't subscribe, don't comment. All right. Thanks. Everyone have